before that, there is something else. Before x minus 4, which is perfect. So 2 is the first common factor. X minus 4 is the next common factor. Is there anything else? Very good. Do not discuss powers just yet. We did not discuss powers just yet. So now it's time for us to do that. And copy 2x plus 7 in the denominator to the 6th power. Okay.
I'm sorry, isn't the 2x plus 7 in the GCF squared?
We haven't discussed powers yet.
Oh, okay.
And now we are discussing powers. So what about the power of x minus 4? In the first term, the power is 1. In the second term, the power is 2.
So you have 1 left.
So what would be the power of the greatest common factor?
X minus 4.
It will be power 1. Okay, you don't have to write it. Good. For 2x plus 7, the first 2x plus 7 in the first term has power 3. In the second term has power 2. Which power do I choose?
2.
Indeed, 2. From the very first term, what is left, please?
3.
Do you all agree with the 2x plus 7 left over from the very first term and nothing else?
Yes.
Everyone agrees?
Yes.
Good. Now we have to copy the minus. This is where I'm at right now. From 6, I took a 2 out. What is left?
3.
Good. What else is left from the second term? Very good indeed. There is an x minus 4 left. We had x minus 4 squared. We took 1 out. 1 is left. We had 2x plus 7 squared. We took both of them out, so there is nothing else. What is the next step then? I hope you agree with the next move. So please watch and tell me if you agree with the next move. I removed 2 factors from the top that are the same and 2 factors from the bottom that are the same. So then 2 multiplied by x minus 4. Everything divided by 2x plus 7 to the 4th power. Can you please tell me what we have inside parentheses? I have a 2x, but I also have a minus 3x. 2x minus 3x is? Minus x. We are not multiplying them. We are combining like terms. So 2x minus 3x is negative x. And then I have 7, but plus what? How much is 7 plus 12? Negative 3 multiplied by negative 4 is positive 12, and 12 plus 7 is 19. So when we combine all these terms, we get negative x plus 19. I recommend, since negative x plus 19 has a negative leading coefficient, I recommend taking it out. So there is a 2, there is x minus 4. Please tell me, what do you have left in parentheses? It's all a lot of writing, but it's not really nothing. So, awesome. Thank you. X minus 19. Now, if you work on the other 5 problems slowly, step by step, after you redo these problems a couple of times, you will have 0 difficulty, I assure you. If you need to form a study group or more, please do so and work on these problems.
Can I bring down the paper?
I'm sorry?
Bring the paper down.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so last time we stopped, let me go back and see where we stopped again.
Quadratic.
Yes,
So we didn't start 1.6 at all.
we did not do anything in 1.6,
No.
but we finished 1.3, right? 5.
1.5.
Okay, very good. Other types of equations. I'm very slow, as you see. Okay, so 1.6, other types of equations. I have a lot to tell you, and it takes a lot of time. You know the types of equations, one of them will be polynomial. We already solved the polynomial equation. We had that 3x cubed or 2x cubed and so on and so forth. That was a polynomial equation. Let's work on another one, like let's say problem 10 on page 185. And this is 3x to the fourth equals 81x. Okay, so what type of equation is this? Well, it's a polynomial equation. What is the degree of this polynomial? Yes, how many solutions do I have to write?
4.
Exactly 4, correct. Good. First, remember, my advice is to clean it up. Always. Simplify and clean it up. What will I divide by in order to simplify it? If you say 3, I agree. If you say 3x, I will say definitely not.
So 3.
So I'm allowed to divide by 3, but I am not allowed to divide by x. Do not ever divide a polynomial equation, both sides, by the variable or an expression containing the variable. Why is that? If I divide both sides by x, I will change it from a 4th degree polynomial into a 3rd degree polynomial. And how many solutions will I write?
3.
Right, instead of
4.
So I never, ever, ever divide both sides of an equation. I'm not allowed to divide both sides of an equation by the variable, ever. So dividing by 3 is fine. So that's x to the fourth equals 27x. I will have to move 27 to the other side and set it equal to 0. Okay, it's a binomial. It's in descending order. Greatest common factor, yes. Which is? Very good. What is left in parentheses?
1, 4.
Awesome. And now I have to think about x cubed minus 27. At the very beginning of the class today, we had a very similar example with x cubed minus 27. It's a binomial. It's in descending order. No greatest common factor. Special product. Difference of
Cubes.
Awesome. So I have x, I have a binomial, I have a trinomial, and then I will be able to solve. Can anyone give us the sign in the middle of the binomial? Can anyone give us the sign in the middle of the trinomial? It cannot be. Terms will not go away, and from 6 terms, I will never get 2 terms if I don't have a opposite sign. So if I factor the difference, the binomial must have the difference, and the sum is in the trinomial. Can anyone give us the binomial? Very good. Can anyone give us a trinomial? Very good. Awesome. Very good. So the first solution is very clear. If 1 is 0, then I'll have to write 1.
3. Oh.
If the first factor is 0, how much is x? Perfect. If the second factor is 0, very good. And now if the third factor is 0, this is not factorable, don't even try. We have to use the quadratic formula.
Oh, man.
So, negative b.
-3.
Negative 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 9, minus 4ac, but 4 times c is, very good, over 2 times a. Good. Obviously, I can already say what type of solutions these two are. What type? So 9 minus 36. Exactly. Divided by 2. So this is negative 3 plus or minus Exactly. Negative 27 is the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 3. Perfect. So 3, what is this? I, very good. 3I, the square root of 3 over 2. So how many solutions did we expect from the very beginning?
4.
4. Here they are. X equals,
0.
X equals,
3.
and 2 of those are here. Negative 3 plus over 2 and negative 3 minus over 2.
Question.
Yes, please. Yes, of course.
All the way down. We can. From the beginning of the equation. Yeah. Right there, where it says 3x to the 4 is equals to 81. Can I write 3x to the 4 minus 81 is equals to 0?
And then factor out 3. Correct. But let me show you something. Because I've seen it. Okay. Some students write this. Without simplifying from the very beginning, which is extremely important for the habit. The habit is very important. And then they have come up with 5 solutions. They say when 3 is 0, then they say when x is 0, and so on and so forth. I don't want to see this.
Well, in that case, 3x has to be 0.
I'm fine with that. But always get into the habit to simplify everything you can. Why would you carry that 3 along? It means nothing. It will not change the solution anyway. 3x equals 0 is still x equals 0. And getting into the habit of simplifying equations from the very beginning by getting rid of big numbers is always a key skill, if you want. Will you get the same answer? Yes. Will you get full credit? Yes. But the habit is very important. Always simplify equations if you can. Perfect. Perfect question. Okay. Now let's take a look at the following equation, and you will tell me what this type is. I picked number 19 on page 185. Do you have other questions for me, anyone? What type of equation is this? So all these are basically review from the previous class, honestly. Now, this is not really new, but I'm going through everything. Okay, what type of equation is this? And remember, I rely on you to work on these problems between now and Wednesday and come back and say, I want to see this problem, I'm not sure about this, but if you don't do any work, you're not going to have questions, and we leave a gap behind. What type? No, this is not binomial. If it has a square root, it cannot be a binomial. It cannot be trinomial or binomial. It cannot be a polynomial if it has the square root on top of x. If it has a ratio in and x in the denominator is rational, but it has a square root. What type of equation can it be if it has a square root? A radical equation, of course. It has a radical, it has a square root or a cube root, it must be a radical equation. Good. How do I solve a radical equation? Any questions, please? Any questions? What do we have to do?
Square it.
I can't at this stage, but yes, the answer is fine. The answer is fine, but not yet. Exactly, I have to clean it up. Remember, simplify an equation and cleaning it up before you apply any process to it or any step to it. Yes, of course, I have to move a to the other side. Separate the radical from the rest. Yes, that's the key. Awesome. And now, yes, why do I have to square, not cube? I decided to cube both sides. Will it help?
Because there's not a 3 on top of it.
Of course, indeed. There is no cube root. If this were cube root, then yes, I would have, in order to eliminate the cube root, I would have had to take everything, both sides to the third power. Yes. Please pay attention. The left-hand side is squared as 1 unit, as well as the right-hand side squared as 1 unit. So here's the point I'm making. Is 2 plus 3 5? I cannot decide to put squares on top of each and say this is still true, because it's not. So this is 4 and this is 9, and this does not equal 25. So do not just simply say square here, square here, square here. You cannot do that. That would be a terrible mistake. So the left-hand side squared is definitely,
2x plus 19.
and now I expect you to give me the correct answer for the right-hand side, because we signed an agreement on the first day of classes. And if you only give me 2 terms, I will start crying.
X squared plus 16x plus 64.
So x squared plus 16x plus 64. I completely agree. So I don't have to cry. Yes. I was talking and writing at the same time. Awesome. Very good. Because we know a binomial squared is a trinomial. The first term squared is x squared plus 2 times the first times the second. I know you're getting ready to ask why 16, right? I'm saying it. So the first term squared plus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. Good. So now, what type of equation is this?
Oh, that is
What type of equation? Quadratic. Good. How do we solve a quadratic equation? What do we need to do?
Quadratic formula.
No, not yet. It's not ready. It's not cleaned up yet. Say it again. Set it equal to?
0.
Yes. So please remember x squared. We are subtracting 2x. And we are subtracting 19. So 64 minus 19 is it 45? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's good.
Good. So whenever we are given a quadratic equation like this one to solve, we have to combine like terms, have everything in descending order, right? 3 terms in descending order, and we have to have it set equal to 0, right? Because we are getting ready to choose among four different situations. Definitely in the middle two, no. This is not ready for taking square roots, and I'm not going to complete the square. So I'm thinking of hopefully factoring or quadratic formula. So if factoring takes this much, I'll factor. If otherwise I will use the quadratic formula. So which one is it? Can I factor like this or quadratic formula?
Isn't it like x plus 5 times x plus 9?
Awesome. So there are 2 possibilities then. X equals and x equals. Great. Well done. I do see some cell phones under the table, and I'm going to ask at the end of the class for you to sit down and talk to me for a minute, because I have to do that, just to make sure that I show you I care. If I just close an eye, you will think, she doesn't care. She sees me doing something else, but she's not going to say anything. And I want to show you that I care.
It's minus 5 and minus 5.
Awesome. Good. But now these 2 come with a huge question mark. And this is part of the problem. We're not done. We have to go back and check in the original problem. This is a must. So you can write it as a note. When using the principle of powers, when we square both sides, cube both sides, not when we take the square root or take the cube root, but when we square both sides, cube both sides, take both sides to a power, we have to check the answers, the solutions. Check. -5 and -9 back in the original problem. So this was the original problem. If they work, fine. If they don't, then I have to exclude those. So I'm checking -5 first. Here it is. So let's see if we get this -5. So 2 times -5 is -10. -10 plus 19 is? No, the square root of 9? 3. 3 minus 8?
Boom.
Acceptable or not?
Yes.
Acceptable. So I will say yes. Now I'm trying -9. Ready? So 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. Negative 18 plus 19,
Negative.
1. Not negative, 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 minus 8. 1 minus 8. Minus 7. Is minus 7 the same with negative 9? No. Which means this solution is not acceptable, and it's called extraneous. You don't have to remember the name if you don't want to. Extraneous solution. So x equals negative 9 is a byproduct. It works in the other ones, but not in the original problem. Therefore, it must be excluded. Thank you. I'm so sorry I held you over. Forgive me. I got carried